Well, I didn't expect to go viral after announcing my retirement from teaching C++. The video was just to inform you guys that I was moving on from teaching C++, but I didn't think it was going to go viral at all. And all of a sudden, a shitload of views came in and a shitload of new subscribers came in to the channel, which was very unexpected. But also the feedback that I got from you guys in regards to my previous students and viewers and subscribers, saying that my C++ teachings has helped them immensely in the past. It was really amazing to hear that feedback, and I can't thank you guys enough again for that amazing feedback that I received announcing my retirement and all that, and saying that I will be missed and everything. That really does mean a lot. It was really unexpected that video was going to go viral and all that, but I thought I'd follow up from that video and explain why I already explained in the video why I've decided to move on from teaching C++ and all that. But before I go into a little bit more detail of like why I've decided to move on from teaching C++ after 10 years, is what I want to do. This is going to be a little bit different today from my hardcore C++ tutorials and concepts and all that. So I want to talk to you guys today about the lessons that I learned actually running this online business for the last 9 to 10 years and a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my phone out and I'm going to talk about the biggest lessons that I learned actually running this business for the last 10 years. So if you want to monetize a skill set, or you want to start a side business online to get in some extra income and all that, these are some of the biggest lessons that I've learned in the last 10 years of running the C++ Better Explained website. So the first lesson that I have for you guys is just relying on paid traffic is dangerous. Once the paid traffic is turned off, the leads and the sales dry up. If you're just relying on paid traffic to run your business, it's very dangerous, because once the paid ads stop working, like there's an algorithm change or there's new guidelines that you have to follow and all that, it can be very dangerous, and things are always changing in the paid traffic game, especially with Google ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads. These algorithms are always changing, and you always need to stay up to date with the changes that they have. You know, something that may have worked 2 years ago may not work anymore at all. And this is actually what happened with the C++ Better Explained website, because the issue that I had was that I got too reliant on using Facebook ads. And when I first started using Facebook ads for the business, they were actually really good. It was actually really cheap to run and everything. But over time, the ads got more expensive and the cost per acquisition kept going up and up and up. And over time, I was just getting a negative return on investment when I was running paid advertisement. Now, at the start, when I started the C++ Better Explained website, I was giving out a lot of free content online in the form of blog articles from 2015 to 2017. You know, I wrote an article almost every single week for around about 2 years. But if I could go back in time to 2015 and not be so shy, in 2015, I would have taken YouTube a lot more seriously back then, and I would have been able to compound the views and the subscribers and the business growth back then. So that probably is like the biggest regret that I have from when I first started the C++ Better Explained website, is not taking YouTube seriously and not taking advantage of that platform back then when there was a lot less competition back 10 years ago. But during that period of my life, I was too shy to be on camera, so it's not really like a major, it is like a regret that I have. But I was very shy back then, so that's why I stuck to writing articles back then. And also as well, the guy that I sought some mentorship as well in regards to starting an online business, he wasn't really active on YouTube as well back then. He was writing a lot of blog articles back then, so I was just following what he was doing. But I also didn't have the money to purchase a nice DSLR camera back then. But if you're starting a business in 2024 primarily online, I highly recommend that you guys use YouTube, because all you have to do is create the videos once, and then once you start gaining traction, it's like a snowball effect that compounds over time and all that. Lesson number 2, always have a separate business bank account from your personal bank account. So I had the unfortunate experience of Mr. Zuckerberg raiding my bank account one time due to a Facebook ads payment that was overdue. So one time when I was at university, I was at a restaurant and I was about to go pay for my meal. And it turns out my card was getting declined because Mr. Zuckerberg raided my bank account for an overdue payment of a Facebook ads account. So that was a hard lesson to learn. Always have a separate business bank account when you have an online business, so that you can track everything that's happening in that account, and that you can take into account the income and expenses that you're paying for in a separate account. Don't do everything all in just one bank account. So that was a hard lesson to learn. But luckily, I was able to pay for my meal in that restaurant by using a credit card. So that was all good. But yeah, that was a hard lesson to learn. Number 3. Always build up your email list. So from the day that you start your online business, when it first launches and everything, you'll always be collecting emails from your business and always be building up your list. Because building up your list is the most valuable thing that you could have when running any type of business, especially leads who have purchased from you before, because it is 5 times easier to resell to a person that's already purchased from you before, rather than just cold traffic. Number 4, always validate your idea before you go full steam ahead. Now, this is something that I probably should have done when I first started the C++ Better Explained website. Luckily for me, I always knew that there was going to be demand for C++ tutorials during the era which I ran this business. But if you're starting something a little bit more complex and all that, and it needs a bit more time and money to be invested in it, it's always a good idea to invest a little bit of time and money into validating your idea first before going full steam ahead. Especially if you're working on an app or a hardware startup like I have been. Because working on an app or working on a software project or working on a hardware startup, there's a lot more money involved and there's a lot more risk involved in that. So you have to be very careful in regards to validating your idea for that. But the same lessons are applied for if you're starting an online business or a side hustle and all that. Always validate your idea and all that. So so you save time and money and reduce the failure in the long run and all that. Number 5, little 1% improvements add up over time and can compound to something really big, like a major breakthrough. So if you're running any type of business, even just an online business, take the feedback from your customers and your users, because listen to the people that are giving you 3-star reviews and their negative feedback as well, because maybe we can take lessons and all that from what they're saying to improve your product and your service and all that. So when I first created my first sales funnel and ClickFunnels and all that, there were actually a lot of problems in regards to the sales pages and all that. And one day I received an email from an angry customer saying, "Your customer service is shit. How come there's no PayPal? How come there's no PayPal in the checkout page and all that? Why do I need to put in my address and everything and all that?" And I was reading through everything and I'm like, man, this guy's right. This guy's giving me like a lot of feedback I could improve on. So I took a lot of feedback that I received from the negative customers and the troubles that I was facing when customers were trying to purchase my products and all that. And I took all these lessons that I learned from these customers that I learned, and so all these like little 1% improved over time. And once I optimized like the sales pages and the checkout pages and all that, and once I added it, and this was like the biggest breakthrough for me. When I added in the PayPal integration checkout pages, my sales skyrocketed through the roof. I literally went from getting 1 book sale a day to getting 4 to 5 book sales in the span of a day. It was crazy back then. This is around about from like 2018 to 2021, where the book sales were going through the roof and all that. Just by having a PayPal integration in my checkout page. So that was like along with adding like the PayPal integration, along with the 1% improvements that I made on the sales page and adding in a video sales letter and the improvements that I made with the feedback from the customers and all that massively compounded my sales and the growth of the business over that specific period of time. So the next major lessons that I've learned, primarily in the last 5 years, is primarily life advice, not just online business advice. But these next pieces of advice is relevant for everybody. So the next major lesson that I learned from running this business is the online business gurus are not teaching you financial management and investing. This is probably one of the most important things that everyone needs to know, but it's not taught in schools. And neither of these online business gurus are teaching these skills as well, financial management and investing as well. Because it's all well and good to be making $100 a month, $1,000 a month, $10,000 a month from an online business, which these guys are teaching you. And I do give credit to these guys, especially the major person who I was following back in the day was Russell Brunson, who was the author of .com Secrets and Traffic Secrets and Expert Secrets. And I still highly recommend him as a resource to be learning about online businesses and all that. But the problem with these online business gurus is that they're not teaching you financial literacy or investing or management and all that. They're teaching you how to make it, but they're not teaching you how to keep it, grow it, and invest it in all that. And that is something that I didn't learn until the age of 25, because when I first started my first full-time job in software engineering, I was working in the northern suburbs of Melbourne in a very bad neighborhood, and the job was not great. It took me like an hour and a half. It took me like an hour to get there. Like it was a one-way commute, an hour each way, and I enjoyed the work, but the environment was so toxic, and the management didn't like me, and eventually I got fired from that job and all that. And then to recover from getting fired from that job, I went to Europe for around about 2 months and all that. But during that year that I worked at that place, I barely saved my money there, and I didn't invest any of my money during my first year of working, of full-time work and all that. And so when I came back from Europe in 2019, I was literally like broke. I literally had $1,000 left in my bank. I literally had $1,000 left in my bank account, and my rent was literally due the next week. Eventually, I had to start from rock bottom again, building up my savings and everything and all that. But luckily, I was able to do some freelance work and all that, and I was able to pick up a job within the 2 months, thanks to my skills in resume writing and cover letters and sales and marketing and all that. But it was still a slog to build up my savings and my investments from the ground up. But I always highly recommend to understand financial literacy, investing, and understanding the difference between assets and liabilities, so that you can be financially independent, so that you can in the future retire early and all that, and build up those investments that pay you an income every single month, so that you don't have to rely on working a 9-to-5 job and relying on a boss or relying on a single client and all that. Yeah, it just makes things. It builds up that peace of mind in you, knowing that you have a shield of armor, that you can do whatever it is that you want. And I've built up my investments and my portfolio now that I have choices to do the things who I want to work for, and the clients that I want to work with, and the products that I want to work with, and all that. And it is such a difference. So I highly recommend that you undertake reading and watching finance YouTubers such as Nisha. She's a really good finance YouTuber, and in regards to financial literacy, management, and investing. The next major lesson that I learned is, just because you're making passive income online today doesn't mean it's going to continue tomorrow, the next week, the next month, or the next year, especially with an online business. Things are always changing in online businesses. Whether it's the paid traffic source that you're using, the organic traffic source that you're using, or the platform, or the market changes, or the customer avatar changes and all that. The online business world is always changing, and you always need to be up to date, especially when you're running an online business. Whether you're doing a content-based business, whether you're doing e-commerce, a service-based online business, the competition is always going to be there, and you always need to keep on top, stay ahead of the competition, and always stay ahead and always innovate. Because if you keep doing the same thing again and again without major changes, sure, you may survive, but maybe in a year later, maybe you won't be surviving and all that. maybe next year the paid traffic source that we're using may no longer be relevant and all that. So you always need to be staying ahead of the curve, especially when you're running an online business and all that. Which leads me to my last lesson that I've learned, which is don't be afraid to move on and quit when it's the right time. So this kind of brings me into why I'm moving on from teaching C++ after 10 years, which I did briefly explain about in my retirement video, which was because since I've been focusing on mobile application development within the last 2-3 years with Flutter, Kotlin and Swift and all that, and that's what I've been focusing on and all that, and enjoying the most actually as well, along with working with working with embedded devices that communicate with mobile applications and all. That's been my specialization in the last 3 years and all that. But you also need to understand as well with this business that I've been running, is that a lot has changed in the last 2 years, especially with AI in the last 3 years. In 2024, we've seen the tech market job crash and all that, where a lot of people in software engineering are losing their jobs left, right and center. If you search up the stats of how many people have lost their jobs at Microsoft, at Meta, at Google and all that, it's in the tens of thousands, and that's because the tech industry has changed within the last 3 years and all that, especially with the introduction of AI. It doesn't really make and this leads me to my other point, is that it doesn't really make sense for me to continue teaching C++ nowadays, is because you can just ask ChatGPT to do it for you. ChatGPT can just explain it within seconds and all that. ChatGPT, these AI tools could probably write my entire book within 10 prompts probably nowadays. The first edition of the book took me 1 month to write. Now ChatGPT could probably write it within 10 minutes now. And as well, with the other thing as well is that not many people are purchasing my products these days because of AI as well. So it doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really make sense to advertise my book and online course with paid ads these days, because we've got AI now to do everything for us. And even the CEO, I think it was the CEO of NVIDIA, said was that programming is becoming less and less relevant these days, because AI has changed the game, and I agree with him and all that. I'm not saying that it's going to die completely, but I'm just saying that it's changed a lot within the last 2 to 3 years and all that. And since AI is going to keep improving over time, especially with the new release of ChatGPT later this year, it's just going to get better and better and all that. So I think this is when I realized that now's the perfect time to retire from teaching C++ and to go out into the sunset and just focus on building up my freelancing contracting work and all that. So those were also the other reasons why I decided to move on from teaching C after 10 years. So those are the biggest lessons that I've learned from running the C++ Better Explained website in the last 10 years and all that. These lessons that I've learned, that I'm sharing with you guys, I'll be applying these lessons to my freelancing contracting business, and as well to my wearable technology product business as well, that I'm currently working on as well. So it was something that I wanted to share with you guys, these lessons that I've learned since my retirement video blew up out of the blue and all that, just to say thank you once again, and to share the lessons that I've learned for anyone who wants to monetize their skill set or their passion online with an online business and all that. So from the bottom of my heart again, I thank you again. And if you are a new subscriber to this channel, please click on the link below and subscribe to my new channel, because that's where I primarily want the growth to my new channel, which is in the link down below and all that. The last video was supposed to be my last video, but no, this video right here is the very last video on the C++ Better Explained website and all that. So that is all. Thank you so much.